and welcome to Talk of the Town. I am Lisa Dascoli, and with me again today on broadbandboxoffice.com is my co-host and friend, Annie Weiss.
Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Annie. How about yourself?
Good. How was your Mother's Day?
Oh, it was very nice. Thank you for asking. My daughters took me out to dinner, so it was a very nice event, and what'd you do for Betty?
Betty. Well, we went to my aunt's house on Staten Island, and Betty just likes to plant flowers. She's an outside person.
Okay.
She plants trees, pulls up trees, mows things. I don't know. She does outside things.
She likes to dig in dirt.
She likes the dirt. So she wanted to plant mums, and that's what she did at my aunt's house. They planted mums in the front yard.
I find a lot of people do that. That's like a Mother's Day thing.
Yeah.
Not I. Thank you.
No, I'd rather just I don't know, go get my nails done or something. I'm not that way. I wish I was, but I'm not.
No, not at
Yeah.
all. And what else has been going on new for you?
I took my dog Bradley to the vet the other day.
Oh, how's Bradley?
He's good. He's just he's overweight, and he.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I am, but he so he's a little overweight. It's okay. Like, that's the way God made him. We love him despite,
Right.
He loves food. He just loves food. He loves to eat. I think he has situational anxiety and it eats his feelings. But I took Bradley to the vet, and the vet squeezed his fat, and he goes, "You see this? He's way too overweight. He's getting fat." And I was like, "That's rude. Like, you're hurting his feelings. Like, don't squeeze his fat. Like, how would you like it if somebody came up to you and squeezed your love handles? Like, that's an awful thing to do."
Unfortunately, I wish I could say it's never happened.
Oh my God. Seriously?
Well,
people are animals.
yes.
So anyway, the vet was making Bradley feel bad about his weight. And he was like, "What do you feed him?" And I was like, "Everything we eat, mixed with dog food." And the vet was like, "You can't do that anymore." So I went home the other day and I was like, "Mom, we can't feed Bradley our food anymore. Like, he can only eat dog food, no more people food." My mom goes, "But he's Italian." And I was like, "Mom, you have to stop feeding him pasta." And she was like, "Okay, but I was like, he needs more protein, like dog food." She goes, "But I put cheese on top."
And probably marinara sauce as well.
Yeah. And I go, it's bad for his heart. And she goes, "What? I give him wine."
So Bradley and Mom have wine every evening with Jeopardy.
Every day at 7:00. She gives him a little bowl of red wine.
Well,
because it's good for his heart.
It is. It's an antioxidant, it's what I'm
I don't know if it's so good for beagles, but Betty believes so.
So what's been going on in the dating scene?
I went on a date today.
Today?
Yeah. We went on a lunch date.
Okay.
But we were talking on and off, and he's really funny and nice and has a big personality and blah, blah, blah. He's cool, but our second date, so this was our third date, our second date, we went out for dinner, and there was steps inside the restaurant, and so he goes, "2, please," trying to be cool or whatever. And the hostess brings us to our bringing us to our table, and there's steps, and of course I'm like a nerd, and I fall, me, I trip over everything. God. And I'm like, don't trip. So I make it down the stairs. I'm like, yes, I've accomplished something, I'm like, oh my God, thank God I didn't fall. All of a sudden I hear a brrr and a big splat. And I was like, oh my. And I turn around and he's not behind me. And I'm like, where did he go? And I look down, he's on the floor. He fell down the stairs.
No.
Funniest thing, hands down, to date I've ever seen in my life. And
but how did he feel about it?
He was super embarrassed, but it took everything in my body not to laugh. I was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And he was like, yeah, I'm fine.
And he still asked you out again.
Yeah,
after that,
and I laughed at him too, so I couldn't not.
Well, yeah, I guess after that,
it was
kind of.
Me and the hostess locked eyes. We're like, "Oh my God."
Did she?
And I had to excuse myself. I went to the bathroom and texted all of my friends.
I wonder if men realize that when we go to the ladies' room, we are texting our friends what is going on.
Or it's either going really great or it's awful. It's the worst date ever. I went on this other date. I'm a serial dater. I went on this other date with a guy. The restaurant was delicious. The food was great. We went to Verve. I think it's in Somerville. It was amazing. Okay. It was delicious. But he really liked math. and I probably should have seen the writing on the wall.
No.
He couldn't talk about anything else but like
Math?
anime and math, and I was like, red flags.
Annie,
Right?
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna call you on this.
Super
Prior to
nerd.
this, you were trapped in a episode of The Big Bang Theory, my dear.
I know.
Totally.
Super smart. I told my mom, and I was like,
But
I don't know. He's just not for me. He's really sweet, like really nice, but he's like a nerd. My mom's like, yeah, but nerds are millionaires. I was like, damn it, you're right.
Yeah, but no.
No. There was like no, and he was shorter than me.
Anime?
I'm 5'1".
Stop there. No, stop there.
5'1".
Stop.
He was 4'11". I like
Okay,
had to
so
look
you-
down like a
no.
cat.
Totally no.
But he was so sweet. He was so nice. But I'm just.
No.
I felt bad that he paid for my dinner. I like tried to offer money. He was like, no, I got it.
Are
And
you
I was like,
insane?
that's because you can do math in your head. That's
well.
why.
So, recently, I just have to tell you what's going on
All
with
right.
me.
What's up?
I went to the Metropolitan Room, and do you remember?
I love that place.
Do you remember our wonderful guest from last month?
I do.
Gretchen
Yes.
Reinhagen.
She's lovely.
She had her show at the Metropolitan Room, and I had the opportunity to go and see her. And to all those who are listening, I really implore you to go see her next show, which is on June the 7th.
I'll be at that one.
That is her 70s show as well. And it was just an incredible evening. I was absolutely mesmerized by her mastery of voice, her wonderful showmanship. It was incredible. It really was. And I don't mean to gush, but she was outstanding. And I highly, highly recommend taking
And she's
up to-
also the nicest lady
ever
in the
wanted me.
entire world.
Yes. Well, you know what? She has also, because I love how these things all work together.
Full circle.
Full circle, she has directed the show for our next guest who is with us this evening. And this evening, ladies and gentlemen, Donna Hayes is with us. And she also is going to be at the Metropolitan Room on Friday, May 22nd. And her show is called Ordinary Miracles. So welcome, please, Miss Donna Hayes.
Hi, Donna.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming this evening.
Absolutely.
So, your songs all come with a story, more or less. All of your selections come
Yes.
with a story.
Yes, for the most part, yes.
And I'm just going to read a couple of the quotes that a couple of the compliments people have said about you in reviews. A consummate storyteller, a forceful performer, captivate with her soulful interpretation of ballads, funny, and sings with a commitment to her lyric. Now, I mean, come on. How much?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff here.
Thank you.
Now, you, as I'm sure our audience will hear as we get through this interview, you are not originally from the United States.
No, I'm originally from Jamaica, West Indies. And I can put on the accent anytime you want, man.
I tell you, it's my favorite accent. To me, it's like silk. I think
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I
Like
love
butter.
it. Yes.
So
like
quite
butter.
often in my show, I would just
Turn it on.
start talking like this. And the audience love it, you know.
Now, you grew up with your grandmother.
Right. I spent the first 14 years of my life with my grandmother, and I moved to the United States in 1976.
Okay. And you moved here to the New York area, or?
Yes, I lived in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Brooklyn. Okay. And it was a very different lifestyle growing up from the United States. It was you were in country.
Yes, we were in the country. It's a place in Jamaica called Duncan's Trelawney. And, so we're talking about the mid-60s to the mid-70s, pretty poor area. Mm-hmm. We didn't have plumbing or electricity.
Wow.
And so it was, a very humble time, if you will. So moving to the United States where everything is in excess.
Especially in New York.
Oh, absolutely. And, everything is so available and accessible. It was certainly an adjustment for me where, anything that I needed or wanted, it was there for you as opposed to living in the country in Jamaica. It was very, very different.
Now, what was the first thing that impressed you when you came to the United States and saw? I mean, I cannot absorb like what a difference in lifestyle that is.
I think that I think that having television was like very interesting.
Now, were you familiar with television?
Yeah, I do remember we had right before I left Jamaica, we did get electricity, maybe about a year before I left, and we had a tiny, a very very tiny television, and we would, there'd be late broadcasting of things like Mannix, and Rockford Files,
yes.
and Alias Smith and Jones. I don't know if you know the very like old shows, and they would come on, pretty much very very late at night, and my grandmother would watch it, and I would just be like fascinated by it. But we only had one channel.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Right. So coming to the U.S. and it's color television and refrigerators and washing machines and things of that nature, that certainly was an adjustment for me as a teenager coming to this country. Love the lights at night when everything, when it was dark and the sun would set and you'd look at the buildings. That was always just so beautiful to me to watch and just to look at and to absorb. I remember that being one of my most favorite things to look at, the lights at night.
Did it bother you though? Because I know a lot of people who grew up in the country in more of a rural area and then come to a city cannot sleep because of all of the noise that we take for granted.
Yeah, no, I don't recall that being
Didn't bother
that bothered me. I was just like fascinated every single day of something new that I was experiencing.
An adventure.
Yeah, and I went right to school. I moved here in July 17th, 1976, and I started high school in September of 1976. So there was a lot of new experiences all happening at the same time, adjusting to this new lifestyle, going to school, and just.
When did you start performing? When did you start singing?
I started singing at 5. I just remember it being something that I loved to do, and every chance I got, I would do it. In Jamaica, we had, lots of animals, goats and pigs and cows, and I would give them concerts.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And
captive
what's nice
audience.
about that? They do not talk back.
Yeah.
They do not heckle.
They don't have an
Yeah, they don't. They just sit there and listen. So when I came to the U.S. and I started going to church, I joined the choir. There was an acting club. I joined that. I did my first play at 19, called The Son of Man, and while in high school, I joined the drama club, and I also joined the choir, and then I went to Hunter College where I majored in theater and did a lot of different productions, and also did a lot of singing.
But what music did you know to sing at 5 years old? I mean, what were you singing?
I mean, a lot of reggae.
Okay, all right.
Because we didn't have access to radio and music, but we had battery operated radio, so we'd listen to a lot of Bob Marley, No Woman No Cry, One Love, which I sing One Love in my show, and I also do this other reggae song called Dup Your Gunman. So I would sing a lot of reggae and hymns. Because we would go to church and with Amazing Grace and spiritual hymns such as that. I would also sing. Yeah.
So what is your favorite kind of music to sing now? I mean, what do you gravitate towards?
A little bit of everything. I love ballads. Absolutely.
You're
love
more
ballads.
Of a balladeer. Okay.
I think I gravitate towards that. But like in my show, I do John Legend, I do U2, I do Coldplay, I do Billie Holiday, I do Philip Phillips. So it's really a really broad
Very
spectrum of different type of songs. But I love ballads, and I love songs with lyrics that are inspiring and that are moving, and not just singing the song just to sing the lyrics, but to hopefully have someone in the audience that will mean something too. Because I find that at the end of a show, what's what I find very meaningful is when someone says, that song really touched me, that song moved me, that means more to me than say, I like your voice or something like that.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I understand. You are listening to Talk of the Town on broadbandboxoffice.com. We broadcast every month, every second Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Please like us on Facebook, and you can also leave comments on Facebook, and we would love to hear more from you. This evening we have with us Donna Hayes, who is performing at the Metropolitan Room on May the 22nd. And the show is at 7 p.m., right, Donna?
Yes, 7
Okay.
p.m. Seating starts at 6:15.
Yes. So I just want to reiterate that because anybody who should come and see you, and they should. Now, tell us about the title of the show, Ordinary Miracles. Where did you get that from?
Actually, that title came to me. I was speaking with my musical director, and we were talking about just miracles, things that have happened in our lives, how it turned out in this just amazing way, and we consider them to be miracles that we're very grateful for. And he told me that he keeps a miracle list of things that that happen to him on a day-to-day basis, and he likes to look back at them and say, wow, I didn't think I could get through that. That's a miracle how that happened, or that's a miracle how I met that person and how that person made a difference and how things turned out.
That's beautiful.
And I decided that I wanted to start keeping a miracle list as well. So if I would meet someone that, I was able to influence or inspire or help, or someone would influence or inspire or help me, or things would turn out a particular way, I would write it down. And as time progressed and I looked at these things, I decided I wanted to write a show about how, I don't necessarily believe that things are coincidences, but it happens for a reason.
I actually despise that word coincidence because I think it's insulting to God because that's taking away the credit for something
Correct.
he's done.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I like that. I like that very much.
Yeah.
And they're called the unnoticed blessings.
Yes.
That's how I've always referred to the
Yeah. So
unnoticed blessings.
it's ordinary, but is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you certainly couldn't do without them. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. And I've had many in my life that I'm incredibly grateful for. And I just live every day in gratitude for just all of the amazing things that I've been blessed with. And doing my shows give me an opportunity to express that and share not only my passion of performing, but it's just my way of giving back and just connecting with music, and hopefully it inspires someone else.
Well, you have given us the opportunity to hear you sing. You've brought one of your selections with you, and it's Good Morning Heartache.
Yes.
And this is from your
Current show,
yes. Which, again, will be on May the 22nd. So, Donna Hayes and Good Morning Heartache.
Good morning, heartache, you old gloomy sight. Good morning, heartache, though we said goodbye last night. I tossed and turned until it seemed you had gone. But here you are with the dawn. Wish I'd forget you, but you're here to stay.
That was lovely.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
And how can people follow up with you? Tell us about you have a website, yes?
I do have a website. That's Donna, Donna hyphenated Hayes, HAYES.com. And on my website, you could find, lots of different things about what I'm doing. I have a calendar with, where I'll be performing, things that I've done, and I blog a little bit. I write things that I find to be inspirational. So yeah, at my website you can find quite often.
Do you have an example of one of your stories that you tell in your show? One of your ordinary miracles?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love all these stories, but I think my favorite story is about when I was coming to America to visit for the first time at the age of 12. And I was very excited because I was going to be going on a plane for the very first time. And also I was going to come to see America. And I remember being so incredibly excited. I remember the next, I couldn't sleep the night before, first of all. I just couldn't. I kept thinking about America and what it would be like. And so the very next morning I got up and I got dressed and I picked out my afro. And I remember I wore makeup for the very first time. I do remember that. I wore electric blue eyeshadow. I remember that.
It was the 70s.
Yeah.
It was the 70s.
Yes. And I was traveling alone. And in the care of an air hostess, that is what they were called back then. And I remember she put my luggage away in the overhead compartment, and I was at my window seat, excited and ready to go. And I must admit, as the plane went higher and higher, I got frightened of the experience as Jamaica got tinier and tinier. But nothing could dampen my excitement about going to America until about an hour into the flight when the pilot made an announcement that the wing of the plane had crashed.
Oh my God, that's such a nightmare.
And and the plane started rocking and shaking. The oxygen masks fell.
Oh my God.
And we started free falling. You know when you're on a roller coaster ride and you're going down and you feel that drop in your belly?
Hence what I don't like roller coasters.
I remember feeling that.
That's awful.
And people started screaming and crying and praying and saying their goodbyes. And I remember feeling those things as well, or doing those things as well, but I was kind of angry that I was not going to see America because I thought that was going to be the end of my life. And somehow, the pilot took that falling, seemingly doomed airplane and we landed safely in Miami. Wow. I don't know how, but I remember getting off the plane and said, there absolutely is a God. And I would think that was one of the day that I really started believing in miracles. Because I believe that is, because we were all pretty convinced that was the end.
Absolutely.
And so that's one of the stories that I tell. I have many that I tell, but that's one that I tell. And it's one that I was always so frightened to get on planes after that.
Understandable. I don't blame you.
Frightened to get on planes after that. And I have a job where I do travel internationally. But, as time progressed, I got over that. But, that could have gone very differently.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah. Give me an example of another miracle that you've experienced.
Oh, sure. I remember I hailed a cab in the West Village. Okay. I got in the cab and I said to the driver, I gave him my address, which is on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And, just started looking at my phone. And then I heard the driver say, where did you say you're going? And I looked at him and he looked really confused. And I repeated my address. And he said, well, is that where you live? And I said, by now I'm creeped out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also intrigued. So I said, yes, that is where I live. And he said, but how do you live there? To which I responded, I don't understand your question. What do you mean by how do I live there? I live there the same way anyone else would live there. He said, yeah, but that's a nice neighborhood.
Wow.
And my initial instinct was to ask him to stop his cab and let me out and not pay him. But I decided against it. Let him drive me home.
Let him see where you
live.
live.
Let him drive me home. And so the very next night, on a taxi line again, on the Upper West Side near Lincoln Center, and I'm standing in a taxi line. I had just seen a show, and I'm standing in a taxi line, a sea of cabs coming through, and I'm on the line, inching forward, till finally it was my time to get in the cab. And I get in the cab, I gave the driver my address, and I started looking at my phone, checking emails, whatnot. And I heard the driver say, "I remember you." Now, there are over 13,000 taxis in New York City, and I was in the same cab with the same driver. And getting back to about coincidences, I don't believe that just happened randomly, that there was a reason. And I decided that that was my opportunity to forgive him, not excuse his behavior, but forgive him, if only to make myself feel better. And that's what I did. There are 13,000 taxis in New York City, completely different areas of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And that is one of the other stories that I tell about ordinary miracles.
So you just chose to take the opportunity to forgive.
Yes. I could have, cussed him out and said,
yeah.
But I actually was very, very nice to him. I would say, "I remember you as well. You were my driver from last night." And when we arrived at my building,
was there any sort of, embarrassment on his part? Any sort of humbleness on his part?
No, he didn't really admit it. He was pretty stoic. And he, we rode in silence for the most part. And when I arrived at my building, I paid him. I tipped him. I didn't tip him the previous night. And I said to him,
I don't blame you.
And I said to him, "And have a great life. God bless." But the fact that the very next night of 13,000 taxis, and I researched this, that I got into the same cab.
Oh, anybody who knows anything about New York knows what a profound needle in a haystack that is.
Absolutely.
And,
so that's one of the other stories I tell. And I have stories that just mean so much to me, because when I think back, I just look at it as an amazing blessing to have had the opportunity to experience them.
And I like the way you look at that.
Yeah.
That you could. Yeah. Well, believe it or not, our half hour has flown by once again.
It's not even possible.
It is possible. But that's the wonderful thing about this show, is that Annie and I have such a great time talking and learning things about so many performers and being blessed by their lives. Yes. And Donna, thank you for taking this opportunity.
You. This was wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
It was our pleasure.
This was wonderful.
Our absolute
Thank
profound
you.
pleasure. Again, Metropolitan Room, May 22nd. And
May 22nd.
And after that as well.
Yes, we also have a show on July 19th, Sunday, July 19th. And we also have our final show of this particular series on Wednesday, September 30th.
So
it's May 22nd, July 19th, and September 30th. 3
opportunities to see this wonderful lady and hear her inspiring songs and music, and take that opportunity. So to all of you listening to us, again, don't forget to like us on Facebook. You have been listening to Talk of the Town on broadbandboxoffice.com. Annie, thank you again. As always, my friend, my co-host, Donna Hayes, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will see you next month, where our guest will be Kasim Gaines.